everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. Today I'm here with a very special flip through of a journal that I just completed. I'm calling it a Baba Yaga Story because Baba Yaga is a Slavic tradition sort of story. There are many different tellings of her story and different stories about her throughout the regions of Russia, Ukraine, Poland, and potentially beyond even those. Those are just the ones that I've heard of. There's a few different pronunciations of her name as well. I'm not a native speaker, so I do apologize if I do mispronounce her name as it is said in your culture. I've heard from a few people who've told me that it's sometimes pronounced as Baba Yaga or Baba Yaga, where there's the G is silent. So just want to put that out there, that I'm not an expert, but that I'm very fascinated by the story and also mainly by the visuals. What drew me to working with this theme in a journal was really two things. Just this woman flying around in a mortar and pestle with a broom sweeping away, any trace of herself, and also a hut on chicken feet. So really that's what drew me into this. Some of it is dark, so if you're watching with small children, you may want to skip this one just because it is a little bit of a darker story, but it's also a redemption story because, well, it's me, come on. So I will get started now and stop talking. So the cover, let's start with the cover of this book. So the cover is, of course, the hut. It is made from, this is coconut in the background. Also, I apologize for my rust-stained hands. I've been rusting metal all morning. It's me. So the roof is made from balsa wood that was covered in handmade paper and stained and then accented here with birch bark that was turned both ways, the dark and the light side. Now, Baba Yaga is the haunter of the birch forest, so there's a lot of birch elements throughout this book. We have the door here that has a little metal handle, more birch going over the top. These are these windows that I don't know, I had this idea in mind about how the windows would look, because the tale itself says that the house doesn't really actually have any windows. It doesn't want to be discovered. It doesn't want people to come to it. I've heard in some ways that it's part of the legend that the hut is sort of aware of the evil of Baba Yaga. They don't want to draw people in. And then there's sort of an all-seeing eye here. And I figured all of this could close if it wanted to. And then I added these kind of golden, like, sort of wing-like or eyebrow-like things to just sort of draw attention to the eye. Then the legs down here, these are made from faux fur. And then I crocheted this ladder because this is how you would climb up into the hut. It's gnarly intentionally. It shouldn't be easy to climb into the hut. And back here you can see some of the dark woods and the grass. The spine, this is a faux binding. It's a decorative only, and it's been made from cordage, hemp cordage, and stitched on. And there's a nice leafy kind of background to it. And then this is this fun find. This may be from another story, potentially. I don't know, but I found this in like a thrift store when I was thrifting, and it has, of course, like a time glass. So you can has the sands of time here, and it's also like a compass. And I felt like it would be a nice thing to put on the spine because it's sort of, I imagine, your time is limited when you reach Baba Yaga, and like maybe you're lost in the woods and you're trying to find, your way. And so this is entirely all gyrational, this whole thing. It all moves. This is the back of the journal. This is made inside an early 1900s book. This journal has 7 signatures, and it is both bound and the inside is completely covered in my eco-printed fabric, which you see beneath me here as well. And then perhaps the most fun and also most arduous part of this book was creating the chicken legs. So they are on some removable metal clasps. So let me just show you. I will open, actually I don't know if I can do it when it's closed. I can, I think. Yeah, so see they're almost like an earring sort of, but they're not. not. They're round. They're these round clasps. So they open and close, so they could be removed if you wanted to remove them when you were writing. But I actually don't find them to be too troublesome. They're quite easy to deal with. So then there's 2 holes that are punched here that go right through the legs. So let's open up the journal, and then I will put this back in so that you can see how it goes. So I'm just going to turn it to the side for a moment and open up the front cover. So see, here's the 2 holes. So I'll just pop this right on through and close it up, and there we go. And I'll just bring the legs up for a moment so that you can see the details. These were made from super sculpey, so they're very strong. They've been, you know, baked there, and they've been fired and sealed, and yeah, I spent some time on those for sure. Okay, let's open up this journal. Okay, so here inside you'll see that I have this is quite a grungy journal. Okay, so you'll see there's fabric here that's all this eco printed. This is a piece of paper that I dyed with black walnuts, and I sprayed with some silver there. It's got sort of a sunburst marking to it. The back's really fun, and it says, "Turn your back to the forest and your eyes to me." So that is something that I found as part of the legend that is said when Baba Yaga spots someone trying to come to her cabin. So here we go with the first signature. The story begins in a scarier, darker place. There's a village nearby, and you know, there's some knowledge that Baba Yaga is evil and that she eats children, and so there's not really a good relationship between Baba Yaga and the village. So we begin with the story. Deep in the birch forest, in a small clearing, lives the ancient, the terrible Baba Yaga. No one knows how old she is. She has always been there in the forest. We have a pocket here, and this card says, "Your fate is in your hands." So I thought that that was sort of true and telling, because, you know, you can make a decision to approach this cabin or not. And then we have a large journal card on a rusty paper clip. All the paper clips in here are rusted. Lots of hand-dyed eco print and black walnut papers. So if it is eco printed, it will look like this, and if it is black walnut, it will, you know, be a dark brown like this. So I won't keep saying that over and over. This is a large journal card with this image of this Baba Yaga hut. The assets in this book are made from various Baba Yaga stories and books that I've had, as well as some images from the public domain. This is actually Tim Holtz paper, and it says, "Baba Yaga is very tall and thin as a skeleton, though she never stops eating. Humans are Baba Yaga's favorite food, and she is always hungry. Indeed, her crooked hut is made of human bones, evidence of her numerous meals." And then paper clipped onto this paper with this lovely pattern. We have some white birch here, and we open it up, and we have this poem, "The Hag." "The hag is astride this night for to ride, the devil and she together, through thick and through thin, now out and then in, though ne'er so foul be the weather. A thorn or a burr she takes for a spur, with a lash of a bramble she rides now. Through brakes and through briars, o'er ditches and mires, she follows the spirit that guides now. No beast for his food dares now range the wood, but hushed in his lair he lies unlurking. While mischiefs by these, on land and on seas, at noon of night are a-working. The storms will arise and trouble the skies this night, and more for the wonder, the ghost from the tomb, affrighted shall come, called out by the clap of the thunder." And that's by Robert Herrick. And it's one of those poems that's quite dark that I found in an old children's book, because, you know, childhood used to be such a thing of wonder and also terror, apparently. So there's a story that's written. There's a book about brave Visalia and the Baba Yaga. It's the story of this girl from a village who has this little doll. It's like a magic doll that helps her in her quest to sort of change the Baba Yaga into like kind of a babushka or a friendly grandmother type lady, that that perhaps that was part of her origin story. So this is a little pocket here, and you see the little doll is sweeping away some leaves and some litter, but here you see the claw of the Baba Yaga hut. So part of the Baba Yaga legend is that she has this broom to sweep away her, any sign of her. So this is maybe what they're doing, to kind of creep around and look in her hut, but not leave a sign. So inside we have a journal card with some birch and some gold. It says, deep in a birch forest in the heart of Russia was a small clearing, and in that clearing lived the witch, Baba Yaga, meager as a skeleton and always hungry. Everything around her had to do with food. Her crooked little hut perched high on a giant chicken leg, and the fence around the hut was built from human bones, left over from her messy meals. When Baba Yaga went hunting, she traveled in a mortar, rowing the air with a pestle and sweeping her tracks away with a broom. She lived a solitary life, as might be expected, for few cared to risk her eager grasp an ever-blazing oven. Still, even Baba Yaga had occasional visitors, mostly straying travelers, and some of her visitors lived to tell the tale. One of these was no more than a timid girl. And then there are several images of trees throughout this book, from an old book about how to draw trees. And it says, she ruled her woods alone. And then we have this beautiful image of a Baba Yaga here in her mortar and pestle. And this says, she was the last of her kind, a creature of legends. And a little golden feather here. Baba Yaga's forest and some little woods down here. And this is the center of the first signature. Here we see the hut in the middle of the woods. We have a little snail down here. And then we see a closer image of the hut of the Baba Yaga. She eats babies, the woman said, as all stared in wide-eyed. Some birch, some very scared villagers here. A black-cloaked rider on a sable horse swept across the clearing and vanished into the trees. So part of the legend is that she also has several people who will do her ill bidding, and some of them are horsemen. We have a flip out here of these beautiful mushrooms on both sides and some birch. It should be no wonder, then, that Baba Yaga lives alone. Even so, from time to time, there is the occasional visitor, the stray traveler, the hapless wanderer. Few have survived the visit. However, there was one in particular, a young girl whose encounter with Baba Yaga bears repeating. This is how it happened. Some wool down here to be kind of mossy on this eco-printed paper. And then this is a little bit of foreshadowing. So this is like a babushka, a grandmother and a child and a cat inside, and she's just kind of looking at the child with worry. And then some wild wolves in the forest. And here we have a very scary, large journal card of a Baba Yaga. That's on eco-printed, black walnut dyed paper. And then we have a dark wood here. And here we have the hut in the background, and then this woman here she's sort of a haggard, witchy woman. Not as specifically a Baba Yaga, but I felt that she really fit as one. She maybe is one. And then we have sort of some of the villagers, and then the little girl with her little doll. Looks like they're in a conversation basically about what to do about the Baba Yaga. And then on the side of this paper, so this is all black walnut dyed, some silver spray here. We have this. We have the Haunter of the Birch Forest. And it is a nice long piece of stationery that has been black walnut dyed. And it just tucks over the top here as so, and clips on just for more writing space. She flies through the air on an old stump and casts spells. A little image of a fly here. And this is a very scary picture of Baba Yaga at a table eating. Not children, but she's got her cup and her spoon. And then we have some mushrooms on vellum here. All sorts of dyed papers. She comes out of the forest and takes children in the dead of night. Moth and a feather. Suddenly a pale horseman galloped across her path, white-faced, wearing white, and riding a white horse. So here we have Visalia sort of moving in toward the forest, and one of the horsemen is out there. Then we have the villagers here, and the little girls being held onto by their mother. And more conversation about whatever to do about Baba Yaga. Black walnut dyed paper that has been sprayed. Some inking. A little label with a spider here. So one of her wolves comes rushing out of the forest toward the villagers, and there's quite a panic. And this tips out, and you can see more of that scene. And then here we have the hut and the arm coming down from the Baba Yaga's hut. And if you don't behave, she'll come and get you. This is some of the dissolved National Geographic paper. I felt like it was really perfect for this journal. And a mushroom. And then this is a journal card here of Visalia with Baba Yaga. So this is where things are beginning to kind of cautiously turn. And then here's one of the horsemen in this red horse chariot. Baba Yaga traveled in a mortar, rowing the air with a pestle and sweeping her tracks away with a broom. And this is an old book spine that I've used as a tuck spot. And here we have Visalia near the hut. She's picked up one of these lighted skulls that are on a stake to kind of find her path. This is some really nice rusted and eco-printed paper. And then this is actually an image from a fantasy book. It's a sort of a piece of a Bosch painting, and it really reminds me of Baba Yaga, but it's a little bit different. It's almost like a different kind of telling. So we have an owl in a tree, and here we have this witchy woman with this, it's like a large plate with people standing all around the edge. It's very surrealist. It has a vase on top, but it looks like a witch's hat. There's like a fishing rod coming out the top. And this part of her looks like two gnarly old trees, and the back is kind of an open cave sort of shell with people inside and a flag coming out, and her feet are in two boats. And that just clips over the top of this eco-printed paper. Some more of the how to draw trees. Paper birch, woodland background, pen and ink, dry brush, and soft charcoal on gray paper with white pastel tree trunks. This is some vintage Swedish weaving book paper, and I just really liked the green. And then we have a Baba Yaga coming out of her hut here, and this little card that says, "Keep your eyes to the moon." And then this is a page from another Baba Yaga book. We see the villagers here around their homes. And then we see a kinder image of Baba Yaga with these little sprightly fairies that sort of inform her and hang around her. And back here we see her again sort of relaxing, and one of the fairies is here. Over here we have a dragonfly on some black paper with some threads underneath. More trees. We have a birch bark pocket here. And then this image of Baba Yaga looking quite, spacey or concerned. And this is a fold out of more of my dyed paper. And this is a beautiful image of a Baba Yaga with her little hut here. And then inside is a spookier, still kind of on the dark side picture of a Baba Yaga hut. And many of these are actually dyed with birch leaves and catkins from the white birch. This is more of the woods, more of that National Geographic, and some nice dyed lace. And here we start to see another side of Baba Yaga. These visits from Visalia and from others, and her hearing the whispers and the laughter from the village through the woods is maybe starting to turn her. Maybe the fairies have started to have an impression. So that's a pocket, but it holds on to another image, maybe of her vision of seeing Visalia out in the woods, not afraid to pick up that skull post and the owl watching and her horsemen in the distance. So things are starting to kind of begin a bit of a thought process. And this pocket wraps around, and we have her hand here holding a fairy that she's sort of marveling at on the other page. And then we see one of the horsemen here and Visalia sort of confronting him while her elders and the children are out in the field working. Some handmade paper. These pictures of mushrooms. This is a beautiful image of a Baba Yaga sort of seeing a small child, and there's these large mushrooms all around, and a magpie up in the sky here. More of the birch tree. Alone, her loneliness made more bitter by the stories that were told of her, stories of the terrible, horrible Baba Yaga. So it seems she has another visitor, and she's very much like a tree type woman here. And then we have this more forlorn, thoughtful Baba Yaga here having a chat with a bird. And then here we still have the darkness. We have her sort of flying around at night, owl by her side. And in here, this is a really cool Italian fungi map from an Italian fungi book. Has all those little mushrooms on the map. This is some cabbage dyed paper, which you'll see lots of throughout this book as well. More of those trees, black walnut dyed papers, and a little Baba Yaga hut here. Then we have Visalia sort of in a reflective pose, talking to her little magic doll. And this is a fabric flip made from eco-printed fabric. More cabbage dyed paper. And then this is a large journal card. I just love this rendering of the hut. It's just amazing. We have Baba Yaga in here sort of peeking out. And then this is a journal card that I made with real moss that has been dried. It is a commercial moss. There's no insects or anything. It is prepared for craft purposes, so don't worry. It's all been laminated and sealed inside this plastic package. And on back we have more writing space from black walnut dyed paper. And then another little journal card of a Baba Yaga hut here with these mushrooms. And now she has the hut on sort of a leash. Mushrooms again and handmade paper, some nice botanically eco-printed paper. This one has a little peek hole in it, seeing through to these starry woods. This side we have this writing space and then a flip out, and here we have this little fairy. And inside, this is music from a song called Baba Yaga's Hut. And then more of the papers. This is a bronzy gold green tissue stained page, sort of like magic in the green wood. Here we have we see the dark horseman in the dark woods here. And then this beautiful image of Visalia on a special day. She's dressed very beautifully with her little doll here. And behind you'll see this is actually Brazilian needlework blueprint, but I love the greens. I thought they went well with the book. And then this is a Baba Yaga sort of rushing her way somewhere. Some very dark coffee dyed paper. And then here we have a Baba Yaga. And then this is like a postcard style image of a Baba Yaga in her hut in the birch forest. It's all been coffee stained. And then this is the Baba Yaga here. And she's conferring with her maiden birds. Maiden birds are here, and they are sort of listeners and advisors to her. And so maybe she's having a conversation, you know, to see if it is time to sort of change her ways with the villagers. And we have Visalia all in her beautiful scarf heading over to Baba Yaga's hut. And we have this Baba Yaga having another visitor, hut in the background. And then this is maybe like, you know, an early morning, still dark, and Baba Yaga is outside here having a little conversation with some birds. Starting to see a bit of her gentle nature. Well, not nature, but I would say her potential. And then the maiden birds are here and the Baba Yaga's up here. This is just a beautiful image that I found. And we have some stitching on this page down here. And then here we have another of the more gentler sides of Baba Yaga. We see her sort of pensively looking out toward, which is the clothesline that the villagers are using to hang their beautiful patterned gowns. Their Baba Yaga, the babushka kind of outfits are all very bright colors. We have a little fairy there. And then some of the forest creatures and the fairies looking on. And then we have some mushrooms here at the bottom. And then there's the rest. There's the clothesline, as I was mentioning, with those beautiful fabrics and little fairies here. And they're saying shh, not wanting to be detected. And then some nice coffee-dyed lace. And just an image of the beautiful valley that they're in next to the woods. And then this is some tracing paper that has had trees sketched on it. Some cabbage dyed large format encyclopedia with this insect here. This is avocado dyed paper. And then here we have in the dark woods Visalia sort of looking behind her and creeping out into the woods, and you see all these eyes. These are the wolves out in the woods. And there's some white birch bark here, and then this fun image of the Baba Yaga hut just tucks on in the side. And then we have a large journal card here. We see a bunny and some mice and all of these fairies and some white birch. So it seems like they're starting to maybe celebrate that something is changing. And then we have Visalia here walking in the bright woods now with one of the skulls on the stick. And a little toad here. Then we see a journal card of Baba Yaga sort of being more friendly with one of the fairies. More of the white birch, mushroom tuck pocket here, and we have in the village we have one of the villagers out at the pond here, and all these beautiful mushrooms. Then we have Baba Yaga very close to the village, under that clothesline with all of the fairies and the little forest creatures. And then we see one of the grandmothers from the village approaching, and she's very happy to see the Baba Yaga. Then some of the bright fabric, kind of like their clothing. And this is a fabric organza pocket, and inside we have this journal tag that is the fairies, and they're all flying around the women of the village. And just some nice plants. And then we see one of the grandmothers talking to her child about nature and the birds, and then there's still a little bit of conversation, like, oh, did are you sure about the Baba Yaga? And the children are kind of wary, and they see all of the grandmothers are arguing. And then we have another of those mossy laminated pockets here. And inside, this is where things are, starting to see some positivity. So I included this, and we see the hut in the background. And this is a little girl here. And the poem is actually The Kitten and Falling Leaves. See the kitten on her wall, sporting with the leaves that fall, withered leaves 1, 2, and 3 from the lofty elder tree. With a tiger leap halfway, now she meets the coming prey. Lets it go as fast, and then has it in her power again. From William Wordsworth. So it's covered in avocado dye paper on back. So it's starting to kind of look at maybe a bit of the personality of those living in the village nearby. And then we have a very kind and gentle Baba Yaga holding on to this little boy from the village, giving him a hug and comforting him, and all the fairies are around here. And then this is a fun mushroom illustration from the Italian Fungi book. Both sides have these beautiful mushrooms. Let's pop that on here. That's okay. Then we have more of the villagers sort of happy and celebrating and having a bit of a party. There's a cake here. And then back here, we have this pocket that has this beautiful image of the Baba Yaga hut. And it says, Baba Yaga smiled the rest of her days. And then one of the, this is the Baba Yaga now dressed as one of the villagers. And she has all the clothing on that were hanging on the clothesline. But you can see her hair still kind of coming out. And that's her from her face. And this is some of my orange hand spun yarn up at the top there. And then here we have another little tuck area, and I put this scarier Baba Yaga in here. This is a classic illustrator of fantasy and Baba Yaga. His first name is Ivan, and I completely forget his last name because it's me. And it's fun because it can kind of pop out at the top, at the back. So if you were sitting the book on a shelf, you could have that sticking out, and then you could set it down and you'd have the legs right here. So it would be a pretty fun, if you're a book collector or, a fantasy or, Baba Yaga or darker kind of theme collector, it would be a nice piece for your collection. So that is the end of this book. So it's quite a chunky book. It's not like out of control or anything, but it is a larger book. So this book will be going up on my Etsy. If you're seeing this this video, it should be there. If not, it will be there very soon. The best way to kind of watch along there is to just follow me on Etsy, and you'll see everything new that I'm posting. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope you enjoyed this little dark but redemption tale of Baba Yaga. So bye for now. You can find all of my stuff down below, social media, the shop, etc. Take care.